Alrighty. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Musicians on Couches Drinking Coffee. And this time I did have coffee. I didn't forget this time. And I think my guest did too. Okay, who's my guest? I'm not going to tell you. So every once in a while, I feel you run into somebody who is a pure musician. What do I mean by pure musician? So I just honestly, I don't know if I consider myself a pure musician, I've done it all my life, yes. I started when I was 10, and I hit drums, that kind of thing. And I liked it, and I stayed with it, and I work at what I do, and I still work at what I do, and I still have gigs where I finish a gig and I go, oh boy, why did I bother doing this? But this person, she's been a friend for a long time, and you probably don't know her as like, well, she played with Springsteen and then Sting and Springsteen and then Bono, that's the right way. Whatever, not that. Around here in Michigan, that's where I live, the Detroit area, very well known, famous, I might say, in this area. And pure musician means there is a quality about her which cannot be taught. It cannot be reproduced. Yeah, I just said that. Her name is Gwenyth Hayes. I'm allowed to call her Wendy, by the way. That's like special. I never knew. Sometimes we call you Wendy, sometimes we call you Gwen. Which do you like?
Oh, it depends on how professional I'm supposed to be. It kind of signals me to how to behave. But you can call me Wendy because you've been knowing me for a long time. So you're my friend.
Anyway, she does covers. She does her own stuff too, but she does such an interesting take on it. And as far as her bass style goes, it's so unique. It's sort of jazz, sort of not, sort of R&B, sort of not. Sort of pop. I hear a lot of pop there. Sort of not. But her inflections are so different than other bass players I work with. Like she will groove with 2 or 3 notes. And where other bass players usually really give you this hydrogen bomb for one. She doesn't do that. She's very subtle with one. Where sometimes, and I've been playing for years, and in all sorts of situations where I have to just think for a second. Okay, where is she putting one? Oh, I see. That's how the phrase goes, and the phrase that she plays is very melodic. Okay, and so the bass playing is not only unique and cool and different, but let's go to the voice. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's just such a pure voice. It's just such a this is who she is voice. Anyway, I'm really excited to have her on the show, and she's had a life, man. She's had a life. And the other thing is she's like a I went to Berklee College of Music, where that's for people who eat Captain Crunch and are amazed at the Frankenberries. Look at the cereal I got, everybody. Look, it's got a prize. She's like going for a master's in psychology. Is she gonna like end schizophrenia and all this kind of stuff? Like, she's just, when you talk to her, how like I think my IQ is like an 81. Hers is probably like 181. You know what I mean? I'm like, "Well, look at the ball spinning." You know, that's not her, man. You know. In other words, you know, as drummers, mainly, I don't think there's any of us that are really that bright. Maybe Gad, because he's such an incredible musician. Maybe he's a little brighter than the rest of us, but most of us, are my sticks made of wood? I think so. Anyway, without further ado, let's go on. Let's enjoy this interview. You know, we did a shorter one. I'm trying to get more views on them, so I'm throwing some clips in there. Enjoy it, watch it, and this is for you guys out there trying to be bass players, and singers. Listen to what she says, man. She knows what she's talking about. Anyway, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Gwenyth Hayes.
Don't you wonder how I took a chance to make me blue? It's all about, you know I knew before. We'll take the two of us, girls, you know I love you more. It took me by surprise, I must say, but when I found out yesterday, don't you know that
All right, well, Miss Wendy,
All right, let's.
welcome to Musicians on Couches Drinking Coffee. This is my mascot.
Oh, cool.
This is Walter.
Cool.
Walter Wannabe is named after a drummer I met once on the East Side that sucks. His name is Walter Wannabe. He's my producer. He doesn't do very much. He doesn't really help out.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I saw in your video.
Yeah,
Blaze.
he shows up once in a while. He's always doing something stupid. Anyway, so I'm glad you're on the show. And so,
Oh, I'm glad to hear it.
yeah, this is kind of fun. It's kind of fun. Like if you've watched a couple of them, we just talk about all sorts of stuff. But we'll start because it's my show. All right, so let's start with the music stuff. Let's start with music. When did you start playing bass? Was it always bass?
I started playing bass.
Did you start
Well,
or something
my
like
whole
that?
family.
Huh?
Yeah, my whole family is musicians. So,
all right.
My grandmother, organist and a pianist. My mom, pianist. My dad is a composer and conductor, arranger, and a bass player. So he did everything classical through jazz. And my brother's a drummer. So I pretty much kind of had to be a musician.
Oh yeah.
I started playing piano when I was like 5 years old. I'm not any good at it, but I learned it. I learned how to do that. And then I don't remember when I started violin, probably about 12. And then,
was violin your intro to strings?
Yep. Yeah. So I started in orchestra and violin, and then I switched to bass when I was 12 in orchestra. Yeah.
So when did you first remember playing with a band situation? Was that in your teens or later on as you being a bass player?
Probably about 19 or 20 years old.
Oh, okay.
I started hanging out at jam sessions in Ypsilanti, and they happened to be playing blues. And I told somebody on just a whim, oh, I kind of play bass. And then next thing you know, they had me up there. And I didn't know what I was doing because at that point, all I knew was orchestral and a few little jazz bass lines my dad had taught me. I knew like a 12 bar blues with the 1625 turnaround. I didn't even know what it was at the time, but that's what I knew how to play.
And that's how it started. That was in Detroit.
No, that was in Ypsilanti at the tap room,
The
man.
tap room. All right.
Right.
Right, the tap room. I played
So
that many
yeah, it
times
was
at Lady Sunshine. Many times I played the tap room, and I did that jam many times over the years when it used to happen.
mhm.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So you have a very interesting style. Now, I've been around for a little while, so I've played with a lot of different bass players and a lot of different styles of music. But you have a really interesting style. You have a very percussive style in your playing, and it's very
Hmm.
deliberate. In other words, you in most of your bass lines, you will pick three, four, five notes, and you will just play them very deliberately and create a real atmosphere of groove. It's very interesting. And
Oh,
this is why kind of I like when I work with you. You'll notice I generally really give you a nice fat oompa, really when I'm playing behind you because
oh yeah.
I like how deliberate your rhythm is, and I don't want to get in the way with that. I think it's really cool. And then your vocals. So that's the next thing I want to talk about. When did you realize you have a very pretty voice? You have a very cool voice. It's soulful, but it's,
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
when did you not only start singing really, but really thinking, hey, I could front a band and sing, do this from the front microphone. When did that cross your mind?
Oh, well, that was my music career has been very strange as far as the trajectory of it. It's not typical. So I went from, playing the tap room and hanging out to just going on tour with Morale Coriel and moving to Chicago and playing Chicago blues for a while. But anyway, so when I was playing Chicago blues and I was playing like Buddy Guys, Legends, and Kingston Mines and all those places all the time, I was with this band called Maurice John Vaughn, and he has an alligator. He was an alligator recording artist, or at least he was. He has an album out with them. So I was playing with them, and it was like me and you know three guys, and I was in my 20s, and they would the trombone player and the lead singer would sing, and then they would do harmonies. And I thought, okay, there's a part maybe for a high harmony because I was the only one who probably could do it. And so I started singing the high harmonies with them. And I thought, a lot of bass players, what they do is as they grow and they want to keep growing, they learn a lot of like bass technique and tricks and stuff like that. But for some reason, that didn't really resonate with me. I thought that what I might want to do to be more marketable is to learn how to sing. Maybe I'll just sing some backgrounds. Maybe I can get some more gigs if I sing background harmonies or something. But come to find out, I actually could start singing lead. And it never occurred to me even do that in the first place, but people seemed to enjoy what I was doing. So that's it was kind of a fluke, actually.
Well, it's very
So,
your voice is very listenable, and I think I always thought that you should do like when you do covers, you do such cool versions of the covers. Like sometimes I don't even recognize them at first until you start the vocals, and they go, "Oh, that's what she's doing. That's cool. I like that."
yeah.
You do it very slow, or you do maybe a couple times you've done like a slow, almost mambo thing, and then it turns out to be something I didn't think it was going to be, and I really, really like that. Just do
Oh, yeah, that's totally what I do,
yeah.
with my own band. So we've done, Arts Beats and Eats and Ann Arbor Summerfest and things like that with my own band. And that's what I do. I do covers, but I do them in my own way. And part of the reason why is when I started singing, I was on the blues scene in Chicago. And when I started singing songs, I realized that and so did everyone else. And my voice does not fit the blues style. And I was accused of being very jazzy. And I was like, well, okay. And then I realized, well, shit, I don't really sing very jazzy. I mean, I don't fit in the jazz scene either. So eventually I just came to the realization I'm just going to have to do my own thing and not be a purist in any way, just be myself.
Right. Well, it's great. I like when I get to play behind you. That's a lot of fun for me because I get to think differently and where you're gonna go. So Chicago. When did you actually move to Chicago?
Oh, it had to be like 2010. Yeah, it had to be around then. How old was I?
How old were you when you moved there?
I was right around, it was probably about 28. So yeah, it was 2008, maybe around then.
And then when did you come back? Because I've known
Oh,
you for a long time around here.
huh?
I've kind of known you for a long time around here, at least from I thought 2012,
Yeah,
2013. So how long did you stay in Chicago? Like 3, 4 years?
yeah, I stayed there about maybe 3 years, I think.
3 years?
And I got back around here probably about, I don't know, 2011, 2012, something.
So we were talking a little bit about your schooling, and I didn't know that you were like a genius and all that kind of stuff until last week. That you,
Yeah, I don't know about all
I
that.
went to Berklee College of Music, where I have my jazz performance degree, where I use it in case I run out of toilet paper in the pandemic. I have my jazz performance degree. That's pretty much what that's for.
Oh,
That's a $5,000 piece of toilet paper, by the way.
oh,
Back in
no.
1981, I graduated from Berkeley, college in Boston.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
it
cool.
was a 2-year program. I was what? I went when I was 18, 19. I graduated when I was like 21. And it was just the jazz performance thing, although I minored in arranging. So that's where my Beatles.
Oh,
And when I was an MD, because I play piano too, and when I MD'd at Carnival, most of my job wasn't to write anything. My job was to arrange the scores, make it work for the 13
yeah.
the 10-piece band. So I don't get to use it that much now, but I used to do that. Anyway, so what did you go to EMU? Was that, or where did you go to school?
Well, it was a whole weird situation too. Um, I'm actually a high school dropout, but then when I was a teenager, I went through a GED class and I took my GED, so I graduated with GED on time. And when I took the GED, I scored so high, they didn't let me leave the testing center without an application to college. So I filled out the application to community college and I got in there. And then I realized that they study a lot of the things that were really relevant to my life. And I had no idea that people study race, gender, class,
Mhm.
all the things that I've experienced. So once I got hip to those classes, I started getting really good grades because I was just thirsty for the information. Anyway, so I had taken all the classes they had to offer at the community college, and my grades were really high. So they pulled me in the office and said, "Hey, you need to apply to U of M." I was like, "Man, I'm never going to get into U of M," but I went ahead and applied and I got in.
Man,
And so I
all
got
right.
I
All
got
right.
my bachelor. Yeah. Yeah, I got my bachelor's at U of M in psychology. And then I moved to Chicago, did all this stuff, and I worked at a psych ward at night and wait, no, a psych ward during the day, and at night I played gigs on the blues scene. And some of the behaviors were the same. Anyway, so uh, then I came back from Chicago and I decided that I didn't like working at the psych ward, which was a lot of the bachelor's degree kind of jobs you can get in psychology are just
So,
not not
so
happening for
what do you
me.
have? Do you have like a master's or a BA in psychology, or what do you have?
now I had gotten into University of Michigan School of Social Work. So I did their 2-year program there. And now I have a master's in social work from University of Michigan.
That's
And
cool. Because
so
if you've
that's
watched
where I'm at now.
if you've watched some of the stuff, you can tell these interviews are about guys that are working and how hard it is. I mean, unless you get the gig, with Bruce Springsteen or
Mhm.
or Mellencamp or something, it's difficult. And the music business is very much like this. I make most of my income from teaching. I teach a guitar center.
Mhm.
I have close to 30 students, and sometimes I like it, and sometimes I can't stand it because you just get tired of working with little kids and nobody practices and nobody cares and you're just there making money. And sometimes you get a couple of kids that really like what they're doing, but you just keep playing because that's what we do. Because when I don't play, I hate life more. That's kind of like the thing. Life sucks when you don't play. Life's a lot better when I play. So I keep playing and I teach to pay the bills. And so I think it's really cool that you did uh, the social work program. So is that what you're doing now that you came back from Hawaii? And we're going to talk about that about a minute.
Oh yeah, I work in the city of Detroit in housing. So I help low income residents of Detroit maintain housing. So my program helps pay a portion of their rent. And a lot of my job is trying to make sure that the people qualify for the program. So I gotta, work with them to get their income information and all that stuff to see if they continue to qualify for this program. But it is a good deal if you do qualify.
Yeah.
It's not it's not exactly what I wanted to do with my degree, but it is something that's definitely keeping a roof over my head, is stable income, especially through this pandemic. I've really been fortunate. Uh,
Imagine. So take two. Let's back up now. I wanted to show you this clip that I found of Gwenyth. I call her Wendy. Yeah. Yeah. I never knew. Sometimes we call you Wendy, sometimes we call you Gwen. Which do you like?
Oh, it depends on how professional I'm supposed to be. It kind of signals me to how to behave. But you can call me Wendy because you've been knowing me for a long time. So you're my friend. You know what? I was kind of, half joking about the IQ of 81. I'm not sure if it's that high. Not sure if it's that high. That may be pushing it. I think that's a triangle. The one that's round, right? Anyway. So Come and Get Your Love is like one of my favorite tunes. I just love that song. I love that song. And hearing her do it with just a bass and her, that's what I mean by pure musician. Only a pure musician could pull that off. Only one. Only one. Okay, there aren't any others. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. There are a few people noteworthy that I consider pure musicians. Sting would be one of the other pure musicians. He could pull that off. And Gwenyth, I call her Wendy, by the way. Gwenyth can pull that off. Yeah. So, are you comparing her to Sting? Yes, I am. Because that's the quality I'm talking about. There's just a few people that are on the planet who could do something like that, and you think, oh man, that's so cool. And there are other people that would try to do it, and you go, yeah, very good, really good, really good. Now let's count the number of marshmallows in Lucky Charms. All right? So, anyway, I hope you enjoy this little clip. I love this song. I love the vibe she brings to it. All right, enjoy.
Hey, what's the matter with your head? Hey, hey, what's the matter with your mind and your silent, your oh, hey, nothing the matter with your head, baby, find it, come on and find it, hey, get with it, baby, 'cause you're fine and you're mine and you look so divine. Come and get your love. Come and get your love. Come and get your love. Come and get your love.
Imagine. So let's back up. Now, I was fortunate when I was with Carnival. I got to go to Hawaii a lot of times. And I got to,
Mhm.
I always had a place to, I was sleeping on the boat. So, I had a gig every night on the boat, but we would spend about 3 to 4 months in Hawaii going around all the islands. And I went
Mhm.
in there and I did all sorts of stuff there and I got to like Hawaii. But I just remember all of a sudden on Facebook seeing that you were moving to Hawaii and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I had two thoughts about that. I had one that was going to really cool because Hawaii is a very beautiful place and I like it. But I also thought for musicians, there were the guys that I met that lived in Hawaii, there were a few musicians there and they had all the work and that was it. There wasn't that much work for guys. It was like, there's these 10 people, they do all the gigs and unless you're one of them, you ain't going to get it. And so,
Mhm.
first of all, what was going on here? What made you decide to move of all places? Because if there was any place that was the opposite of Michigan, it's Hawaii. They got really good weather
Yeah.
and the beaches are beautiful. And so let's go back. Walk me through when did you wake up and why did you wake up and say, I'm going to Hawaii today?
Well, it sounds like a great idea in theory for, for a lot of reasons. So when I was in school, what I studied was human services management, policy and program evaluation. So essentially it's like being an administrator in some kind of social work, human services program. Okay. So, but in order to get those jobs, you have to have 100 years of experience. And I just graduated and have the experience. So I figured there was a program called AmeriCorps that offered an opportunity for you to volunteer and you can get some work experience and then they'll help you pay down your student loans. So it seemed like a good idea. And it was going to give me the work experience doing the kind of program evaluation, essentially taking a look at human services program to see if they actually help anybody or not. So find different ways to measure whether or not the person comes in the door of the program and when they leave, are they any better? So finding ways to measure that. And that's what I thought it was going to be. So I thought it was going to be a win-win situation and it have to be in a great location. It didn't turn out to be what I thought it was going to be. So it was kind of disappointing. It didn't turn out. Turned out that there was no, it didn't offer any health insurance. There was no housing. It paid very little. And it's one of the most expensive states you could possibly live in. So it turned out not to be what I thought. Yeah.
How long did you stay there? How long did you stay?
Yeah. Well, I stayed with that program probably about 9 months or so. I don't remember. And then I just stayed around for maybe another year, and because I had made friends and I had made some connections, found another job and things like that. But because of that, you never really realize how much you miss music, especially like a blues and jazz and soul
Right.
scene until you don't have it anymore. And the caliber of players that we're around on a regular basis, man, that's a kind of homesick I never even thought I'd feel. But I'm glad to be home.
Right. Well, I suppose you missed the weather a little bit. The weather's pretty nice over there. I thought it was pretty cool anyway when I was there.
Yeah, the weather is great, but if you don't have
What
a
kind of gigs did
decent,
you pick up
manner of
some gigs?
living.
Did you pick up some gigs when you were in Hawaii or no?
Oh, oh yeah, when I first got there, I joined a 80s rock band. It was fun.
Oh
That was
yeah,
fun. And I was
yeah.
just the bass player. Yeah, I joined an 80s rock band, just something to do. And then I picked up some gigs, but like you were saying, the gigs that really pay are kind of taken up by your, set group of cats. And then a lot of them are, touristy kind of bands. So you're going to play your,
Right.
wedding band, pop band kind of fare. So, and then, a lot of the other smaller gigs were like people, singers with a ukulele. They don't really need a bass
Right, right.
player. But I did pick up a couple of gigs and with my doing my own stuff, my own style, but didn't pay what I'm used to. So there was
Right,
that.
right, right,
Um,
right. Like I said, I was fortunate because I was there when I had a gig on the boat. And when I was on the boat, I was in the orchestra. So there's a show in Carnival, at least it used to be, called Far From Over, which is an '80s show. And I used to have, I mean,
mm,
some people dog on the ships, but the thing I liked about playing on cruise ships, and I always liked, and you know me a little bit, I'm I'm going to be touring later this summer with a guy named Donnie Brown. He was the drummer for the Verve Pipe, and he's going to be singing and playing
oh,
guitar. I'll be playing drums for him. But he said the one thing he knows about me is I play with everybody. Like every time he looks on,
mm,
I'm with somebody else, and so
mm,
and I got that from the ship. So like on ships, the Far From Over show was an '80s show. We did everything from Michael Jackson, lots of Prince. You did Kiss. You did they had the disco section, which Donna Summers and all that stuff. And then you had the Sinatra show, and then you had the Beatles show, and then in the back lounge you did jazz, and then sometimes in the back lounge you did Latin music. And I liked the thought of every time I hit the stage, I was playing something different. And
yeah,
that was
yeah.
kind of a cool thing for me. So, and that's why I don't regret my time on ships. I did almost 10 years with Carnival Cruise Line,
Mm,
10 years, and the last 3 years I was a music director. And that was kind
oh
of,
wow.
it was kind of fun because I got to call the shots and make my own show and all that kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
that's what inspired my Beatles show. Anyway, so when you came back, because I had left. I left. I went on Carnival for whatever 8 9 years. And when I came back, I was working again. And one thing I have to say for this community here, which is different than New York, even, was it didn't take me very long from the moment that I got off of ships after not being in the Detroit area for 10 years almost to start working again
Hmm.
right away. So how did you feel coming back as a player, gigging and getting to know people again and getting hired? Did you feel very welcome, very accepted, or did you have to fight a little bit? Because
Um, I don't know. I'm kind of in a strange place right now because I'm in a lot of ways, there's as a bass player, there's gigs and stuff I don't really want to do anymore. Um, so I'm not really out there trying to pick up gigs as a bass player. Um, so maybe I could get gigs as a bass player. I don't know, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to like book my own band and find the right kind of venues and places that I would appreciate, like you were saying, what I'm trying to do. I'm not necessarily trying to do covers of or be a purist to any particular genre. Um, trying to find the appropriate venues. So I've been, looking at festivals and things like that, but a lot of that's going to have to be under my own steam.
right,
Um,
right.
so
Do you write? Do you write?
well, recently I've been doing a lot more writing. I recently have got some like ways to record my ideas at home. And it's really cool. I've got a MacBook now, and so I've been laying down some ideas and things that I've been kicking around in my head. So we'll see. Hopefully, pretty soon I'll be able to come out with an experimental, my original stuff for the first time. But
That'd be cool.
I probably, yeah, in a couple weeks, I'm going to release a single. You remember Paul Carey?
Yes.
Paul Carey, remember him?
Yep.
Anyway, the guitarist. He's going to be his son and I have been working on finishing some of the recordings that we did before he passed away. So I'm gonna do some releases, and they're my original arrangements of some cover tunes. But I'm excited about the kind of music I can record and maybe make some videos, more so than I am about trying to go and get a whole bunch of bar gigs, because it's probably not going to be necessarily the most appropriate for what I'm trying to do.
I think in some ways, not that, obviously if Bruce Springsteen called me, I wouldn't be on the plane tomorrow and go. But having made most of my living over the last, 20 years teaching drums, but having done that, I think there's a thing that's good about it, because I never felt that I had to take every gig that came my way.
Yeah.
And I definitely have a reputation that I'm not afraid to say no to people. I have walked off and said no to a few people, and there's because I don't want to do it, but either because I didn't want to ride in the van all day long, kind of thing, and it just wasn't for me. I rode in vans with Dick Wagner, but that was different. He was a national artist, and vans were Escalades, so that was a little different. But I think actually it's a good thing, and I try to do with this channel, try to let drummers know that you can live your life playing music. I'm going to be 59 years old in 5 days.
What?
5 days.
Are you looking good, Mark?
Well, thanks. But I like some days I feel I'm 700, and some days I feel like I'm 30 again. But I've been playing since I was I've been playing professionally since I was 16, and picks in my hand since I was 9. I've written stuff with the piano, but I have to say, except for the days on the ships, most of my living, all my life, has come from teaching drums to little kids. That's how I've made it. So sometimes I can tell somebody, I don't want to play that gig. I don't want to play the opening of the pizzeria down the road. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that.
My brother is a drummer too, and one time he was telling me, he was like, either it's good money, good music, or a good hang. If it's none of those, then don't do it. Pretty much. Or if it's not enough of, obviously you want the trifecta, but as I've gotten older, I'm 41 now. As I've gotten older, there's stuff gigs I played, people I played with, environments I was in as a musician, just that were not comfortable or healthy or safe, or that, and I've done it. I don't need to do that anymore. I'm not going to put myself in that predicament.
Right.
But at the same time,
this is a tough business. I tell my students, this business is not for the weak-hearted. Like, either you're in this because you love it, or don't be in it. Because fame and fortune most likely isn't going to come. Like, the odds of you getting the gig with Beyonce is very slim. I always tell my students, it's very
Mhm.
there's only one guy that's going to get that gig, and so
Mhm.
you have to see yourself as I do this because I love it, or I don't do it. Like I said, even though I've toured with a bunch of different people and all sorts of, I think Carnival was the coolest. It was a ship, you know. My cabin was downstairs, the gig was upstairs. That was the easiest gig you could do. The drums were set up. I played the theater. I played 7 nights a week in the
No,
theater.
no, it sounds like a good. It sounds like a good gig.
You know,
I mean, I'd like to do something like that, but I
it gets a
don't
little
know.
cheesy. It gets a little cheesy, and there are people in this town I got auditions for, and it's a reading gig. Like, here's the book, read,
Mhm, mhm.
and they couldn't do it, and they couldn't get the gig. They couldn't get it because it's just reading. I still can get people auditions, but you got to be like a 2 or a 1 reader. You just have to be. You just have to be.
Yeah.
So you get back, and let's talk a little bit about what happened here in the country. Um, what were you doing when the pandemic hit? Were you here working in Detroit? What were you doing? Were you doing?
Yeah, I've been I was I just started a new job in Detroit doing this, social work, housing kind of stuff. And the pandemic hit and I was brand new and I had barely been trained, and then we have to go home and figure it out. I had to go home and figure it out on my own. But
So
but I was really fortunate though.
did you work over Zoom, or did you go to their houses still, or how'd that work? Like, how did this they go to the how?
Well, luckily a lot of what I have to do is paperwork. And there's not as much, we don't have to really see the clients very often. We talk to them on the phone and ask them questions but it's like not the kind of touchy feely social work that people talk about where, because there's some social workers who are therapists. There's some people that do intensive case management, but in this role, there's a lot of doing a lot of paperwork, just to make sure that people continue to qualify for this program. And I have between 400 and 500 clients, so there's only so much attention and one person. Yeah,
500 clients. Oh, you must.
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
probably close to 400, but
How often how many clients do you see in a week?
well, most of them I just talk to them on the phone briefly for like 5 minutes here and there. I send a lot of emails. It's mostly just phone contacts and things like that. So it's kind of bureaucratic social work side of things.
So did they keep sending you a paycheck, and you were working during the pandemic? Did that how that worked out for you?
Yeah, and I had started as a temp, and then the pandemic hit, and who knew? I didn't know what they were going to do, but they ended up hiring me as permanent staff, so that's good. So that really helped me out because I got benefits. I'm saving for retirement. See, that's another thing a lot of people don't think about. Now that I'm, 40, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was watching the musicians I looked up to. I watched them age and start to have health problems and start to go through all this shit. And I started to see the writing on the wall, like, you need to have a plan B, you better have a backup plan, you better start saying you got to have something because you don't know what's going to happen, and music income is not necessarily stable. And what if you get sick and you can't carry your bass amp? What happens if you have a health problem, you don't have any health insurance? So I appreciate what you're saying, because that stuff is really important, and I've seen my mentors really struggle. So I'm grateful. I'm saving for retirement. Really, be honest with you.
Yeah. The one thing about the pandemic is sort of set us all back to zero in some ways, and I got hurt a little while only because a lot of students left, and I didn't have any. I just had a couple of Zoom students. Guitar Center treated us really good though, but I was getting some money from unemployment and the pandemic and stuff, and I started playing the market. And surprisingly,
oh
yeah, like, because I started thinking, because here's the thing, like even dudes who are famous in the music business, you know, big rock guys, they get sick, they get some disease or something in their 60s or 70s, they get wiped out. And they get wiped out. I mean, Miles Davis died penniless. I mean, there are so many of my heroes that died broke and penniless and sick, and I didn't want to fall, so I fall in that category. So I started to just play the market, and actually did better than I thought I was going to do. So
Really? Oh my God! Maybe
yeah. Next time we are together, not on Zoom, and I have to edit it out, I'll talk to you about some of the things I'm involved.
Oh, okay.
Actual money is pretty cool. If you got and Robinhood, you can invest in it. You don't need a minimum, and my sister got me involved. Anyway, so that's good. So the pandemic happened, and so I hadn't really seen you since in a while, and then last week you were at the little barbecue with Tasha, and you sounded, and it was fun. We did a couple of tunes. That's a very low key thing. I'm doing that again this weekend. Well, I probably won't for a couple of Sundays. It's a little bit of a trudge, that gig. It's kind of fun and not fun, but I'm doing it more because I want to. I have some gigs coming up, and I want to. I can practice all I want to, but there's something about being on stage and actually playing. There's a certain chop you get from that you don't get. If I spend 9 hours in my room practicing, I won't get what I'll get from an hour playing.
Oh, I heard it. I hear you, Sam. This pandemic has been kind of cool for me in a way musically, because it took me the time. I calmed down, I slowed down, and then I just started to play songs I heard on the radio at the grocery store. I would go home and learn it by myself and try to come up with an arrangement of it. And I took the time to learn a lot of different stuff, and I don't know, not have to think about how can I arrange this the most simplistically so that we can play it on a fly at a jam. I could think more complicated than that. I could find ways to accompany myself and stuff. So I had a lot of fun. I think I learned about 20, 30 tunes by myself. But anyway, you are right. There is nothing like being able to play it with other people.
Right.
That
and not even, and it's not even rehearsal, because I've rehearsed a little bit, but with other guys. But being on stage, it forces you. You need to make a choice of what you're going to play right then, and whatever you choose.
Yeah.
Where if I'm in a rehearsal, like Joe Veloz and I'll go to his. He lives in Belleville. I'll go to his house and just have some fun. But if I screw something up, or I take a left turn that I wanted to just try, who cares? It's just me and him in the basement. But I wouldn't do that behind. Whatever I pick is going to be the thing that's going to be killer. And if it's not, I'm going to hate myself. So like there's a pressure that you get playing a gig on stage, even if it's at a barbecue, at a radio station, whatever, a pressure you get on stage that you just can't get in your rehearsal hall, in your practice room. So
yeah,
like
I agree with.
Right now, I am taking just about any gig that comes my way, just because I want to get myself warm again for some bigger gigs I have coming up this summer. Like, be ready.
Yeah.
So have you put together?
Yeah,
have you put together a band?
So you
festivals or anything?
Oh yeah, I have a band that I'm gonna put together. Or I played Madison Heights Festival last year with a couple of it was like Phil Hale and Collie Douglas, and that was fun. We did most of it on the fly, and it's all the shit I was learning by myself I heard at the grocery store, and I got to play with actual people, and it was fun. So, and then I have some cats that I play with in Ann Arbor. We used to be the Gwenyth Hayes trio and duo and all these different things over the past 10 years. So I have regular cats that I call for gigs. So I haven't quite all the dates aren't firmed up yet, so I can't necessarily hire everybody yet, but we'll see what happens. I'm sure we're gonna make it happen.
Is there a name for it?
What? Oh,
your project, your band.
Well, it's Gwenyth Hayes,
All right.
but it's yeah, Gwenyth Hayes, and that's sometimes it's Gwenyth Hayes trio. Sometimes it's Gwen and the Gentlemen. It's sometimes it depends on what kind of vibe I'm trying to set.
You were doing
Yeah.
something last or 2 years ago at Wayne State, weren't you? Like doing a little jazz thing on a weeknight?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was doing POW Tuesdays. That was fun. That was Phil Hale and Skeeto
Oh
held
yeah,
that.
yeah. I watched some of the videos on that. That looked pretty cool.
Yeah, the recording was Phil and Skeeto, and then uh it was actually Phil and Rick Beeman that were doing it regularly. So that was cool. Yeah, so that was cool. But then the pandemic hit and everything went to hell in a handbasket. So what can you do?
Yeah. Everything ended. Everything ended. Well, I'm glad we got a chance to talk a little bit and have a little fun and find out more about what you're doing and when it's gonna happen. Do you have like a Facebook page you can send people to and all that kind of thing?
Oh, yeah, they can go to gwenythhayes.com, which is, you'd have to spell it. It's GWENYTH.
I'll put your link in the description. Us YouTube guys, we point down because when this
Oh,
bottom
okay.
of us is going to be your link to your website. GwenythHayes.com.
Yeah, gwenythhayes.com.
That'll have you.
And then I think on YouTube I'm ladybass.
Oh yeah, Lady Bass.
But yeah. But all that stuff is on my website, so you can look that up. And I'm looking forward to releasing some of this music this year, so that'll be cool. I'm going to spend more time recording and investing in myself. So that'll be cool.
Well, the good and the bad of the YouTube thing is, like I put up during the pandemic, I just got bored, so I started doing this little stupid channel, and I interviewed Donnie Brown, the drummer from the Verve Pipe, and then the next thing I knew, I interviewed Sandy Gennaro, who's a friend of mine. He used to play with Dick Wagner too. We used to go back and forth, both
Yeah.
guys, and Sandy played for the Monkees for 20 years. Davy Jones. So the channel sort of like picked up a little bit just because YouTube doesn't care. It's just algorithms.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can put your stuff out there and you just never know if something's going to hit. What I did, one of my videos I did on the Crunch from Led Zeppelin. I I've used that, Scott. Like I've done no promo for that at all, but people just like that video on my demonstration of Bonham's The Crunch. It's a it's a Zeppelin tune in 9/8. You know that tune?
No, I'm not hip.
It's kind of cool.
I might know it if I heard it.
Yeah. It's 9/8, but it's a straight 9. It's not 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. It's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 1 2 3 4. So it's very interesting, and I demonstrate it, and I can't believe how many views I got, and I can't believe some of the people and I have talked to who, as the channel gets bigger, they like the style and they want to be on the show. Well, let us know where you're playing because I'll be happy to come see you. And if you're ever stuck for a drummer, you can always call. If I'm available, I'll always do it. And
cool. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. We'll see what happens.
Right now, I look at my schedule. Oh yeah, there's nothing. Okay, so I'm playing on the 8th with Ray Goodman. You remember him?
No, I'm not sure if I remember him. I'm sure I'd probably see him.
He played with Mitch Ryder and Dick Wagner. And
okay.
We're doing a show with Tasha at Billy's Sippin' In on May 8th, which is 3 days after my birthday. So if you want to come up and say happy birthday, hey, old guy.
Yeah. I'll come celebrate your birthday with you, man. That'd be fun.
I never knew. Sometimes we call you Wendy, sometimes we call you Gwen. Which do you like?
Oh, it depends on how professional I'm supposed to be. It kind of signals me to how to behave. But you can call me Wendy because you've been knowing me for a long time. So you're my friend. But you can call me Wendy because you've been knowing me for a long time. So you're my friend. But you can call me Wendy because you've been knowing me for a long time. So you're my friend.
A couple of months. Thank you for coming on. Good luck with the job. Good luck with the EP or the full length.
Oh yeah.
Whatever you're going to do. Good luck with whatever gig comes your way.
Mhm.
Good luck in your entire life, and I hope I see you again soon. Maybe I'm on my well, my birthday's the 5th, but the gig is on the 8th.
Okay.
All right. So,
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll definitely go. Thank you for thinking of me for this. This was fun.
Sun lights up the daytime, moon lights up the night. I light up when you call my name, but I know you're gonna treat me right. You give me a fever when you kiss me, fever when you hold me tight.
alrighty then. I hope you enjoyed that time with Gwenyth. I don't know if I mentioned that I call her Wendy. I don't know if I said that. I might have said that to you. Anyway, this is one of those shows I'm not sure what to do with. Maybe it just needs more time. I really like doing it. That's why I do it. I don't do anything I don't like to do. I'm selfish. I'm just selfish. That's right, you're selfish. I've had many women say that to me, by the way. Proud of it. Okay, so, I know that I like to have all sorts of people. I've had vocalists and bass players and guitar players and drummers, of course. Excuse me, songwriters, the whole bit. And it's not really getting the response that I hoped it would get. But then neither did Seinfeld. And look how that turned out. All right, so I might just keep it going. I might try a few different things with it. Anyway, I hope you had your notepad listening to her talk, especially you youngins. And I hate to sound like an old man. Look, I'm a musician. I went to Berkeley. I teach and I play. I teach and I play. And I'm just starting now to dabble in some other things. And I'm 59. And that's too late. That's too late. I just recently got health insurance. So what she says is really true. It's really true. I know of it, and I don't look a day over 58. I really don't. Anyway, just keep tuning into this. If you're liking this, share it with people. Keep tuning in. Because I think there's some good stuff here. I really do. And I like it. And I don't really care if you like it, but I do like it. So I'm selfish. I'm just selfish. That's right, you're selfish. So I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing musicians on couches drinking coffee, and hopefully one day we'll get a sponsor. Anyway, see you on the next one, my friends.